We are going to thank you so much, Stacy and our musicians, for getting us all in the mood. And it's great to be together in this beginning of February, the second month of the year. Welcome to everyone out there in the cyberspace world. We're so happy to have you with us here in divine spirit and connection. Many of you look so good out there. I see you've had some haircuts and some things going on. Yes, yes. All looks good. All ready for Shabbat. So I'm going to call up Jeremy and Heather, who are going to help lead us in Hine Matov, page 128. Jeremy's been busy passing out the English translation of the Ten Commandments. Might I ask you why? Of course Wendy knows. It is the Torah portion for this Shabbat. And so I thought, sometimes I always chant it, whatever, but I thought this time we are going to read it at the end of the sermon, okay? So don't worry about it right now. Just put it next to you. Don't let it fall on the floor. And let us all take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Everybody! Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, hine matov. Ya la la, ya la 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 la. Hine matov, hine matov. Ya la la, ya la 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 la. Hine matov u'manayim. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim. Shevet achim gam yachad. Shevet achim gam yachad. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Thank you, Jeremy and Heather. You guys can sit right there if you'd like. Get your books and sit there. So, here we are. It's wonderful to be together again. We're going to kindle the lights of Shabbat, and we're so happy to have Diana's back. Hello. From our Misha Berach prayers have worked, and here she is back at services. She's been at a few social events because she's such a social butterfly. And Crystal, our sisterhood president, is back from Colorado. So she's going to come forward and kindle the lights of Shabbat. We're so thrilled to have you. So everybody take a good look when she does this at the two lights of the two individual candles and think of what it means to kindle your own light as an individual. What does it mean to be an individual? I remember my 8th grade drama teacher, Mrs. Mullendor, said, "Dee, you are an individual. Always remain an individual." And this is what we must all do. See, all of you teachers out there, we remember what our teachers tell us. So it was very important when I had to do a speech and say 26 times, "I am a young American." It was very embarrassing towards the end. Everybody was making fun of the fact that I was a young American. And we have at the B'nai Mitzvah services, when we had the children, there's a text in here that says, "I am a Jew." Because I am a Jew, I am a Jew. So you have these moments in life when you have to reaffirm who you are as an individual. So Crystal, would you please light these individual candlesticks that represent the divine and us, Am Yisrael and Adonai, two loving partners who are both individuals but then come together to create something beautiful in partnership. And the candle blessing can be found on page 120. And we make 3 circles, creating order out of the chaos in the world, bringing that light into our being for the Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Turn to someone next to you, give them a hug, and say, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. So glad to have you back. We miss you when you're not here. So now, we're going to do Shalom Aleichem on page 142, where we are going to welcome in the Shabbat and the Sabbath with our angels to watch over us and check on us and be sure that we are actually doing what we should be doing. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bohem LaShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Huni LaShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Last verse. Sechem LaShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And on page 138, we're going to welcome in the Shabbos bride. We're going to do verses 1, 5, and 9. You're going to turn around on 9 and face the door to welcome in the bride. Lecha dodi librat kala yalala 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 B'nai Shabbat. Come on, you guys, nekabela. You can clap. Lecha dodi librat kala yalala 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 B'nai Shabbat. Nekabela. Shamo v'zachor v'dibur echad Hishmiyanu el ha'meyechad Adonai L'shemo echad, l'shem u'latiferet, v'litehila. Everybody, lecha dodi librat kala yalala 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 B'nai Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi librat kala yalala 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 B'nai Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5. Hitoreri, Hitoreri, Kiva Ore, Tumi Ori, 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 Shedaveri, Kevod Adonai, Elai, Nigla. Everybody, Lecha dodi librat kala yalala 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 B'nai Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi librat kala yalala 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 B'nai Shabbat nekabela. Verse 9. B'ri v'shalom hateregala gam besimcha v'tzohola tochem b'nei am segula b'ri chala b'ri chala. Everybody, lecha dodi librat kala yalala 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 B'nai Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi librat kala yalala 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 B'nai Shabbat nekabela. Please be seated. And so now we are going to go forward to our Chatzi Kaddish on page 144, and let us read the bottom of page 144. 145. Entrances to holiness are everywhere, and the possibility of ascent is all the time. Even at unlikely times and through unlikely places, there is no place on earth without the presence. Hatzikadash on page 144. Yitkadav yikdash shmei rabach ve'almad yirach yiratei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayedecho v'Yisrael Bagala, Bagala, Uvizmahan Karivimero. Yeheshme Rabba Mevarach, Leolam Lo Me'amaya. Yitbarach V'yishtabach, Yitbar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh, V'yithadar V'yitalev V'yithalol, Shemei D'Kudashah. Rehu le'ela min kol v'chata v'shirata tishvechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Please rise if you're able as the ark is open. Baruch Hu. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai. Everybody. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Hamevorach Leolam Vaed Hamevorach Hamevorach Leolam Vaed Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Leolam Vaed. Please be seated. And now, if you will turn the page, we have our evening text, our Ma'ariv, our Ravim, and let us read together at the bottom of the page the English that goes with the Hebrew. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, bottom of page 148, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Sebaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. And when we say, you are the creator of day and night, rolling light away from the darkness and darkness from light. So it is our heavenly creator that can help us in our moments of despair and darkness to roll away that cloud that pervades us, that hangs over us, or that which obscures the light and leaves us in a state of darkness. So that connection that we have when we kindle the light, we light the candles, and the connection that we have when we pray, and even when we just say, help me, I'm in trouble, I need help, the connection that we have when we reach out to one another in community. This is how we just separate ourselves from the darkness and embrace the light. Together, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bivaro ma'ariv aravim, v'chochma poteach sha'arim, uvivuna meshane itim u'machalif et hazmanim, u'mesader et ha'kochavim, v'mishmerotehem barakia tirtzono, v'rayom v'layla, Golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or umavir yom Umevi Laila, Umavdil Ben Yom, Uvehilaila, Adonai Sevot Shemo, El Chai V'Kayam, Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Leilam Va'ed, V'Haruch Atah Adonai, Amari V'Aravim. And Heather's going to come up and lead us in Ahavat Olam on page 150. And as our musicians are so beautifully playing the music, Heather will lead us in the English and then sing the prayer.
Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Israel. Ahavat olam, Beit Israel, Amcha avta, Amcha avta. Torah u'mitzvot, chokim u'mishpatim, otanu limadata, otanu limadata. Alkin Adonai Eloheinu b'shachmenu, u'kumenu naziach b'chokecha, v'nismach b'divrei toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed, ki him chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, u'negei yomam v'layla, negei yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavatcha al tasir, mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Israel, ohev amo Israel.
Yasher Koach. And so now we're going to go forward into the connection that we can have with the Shema. And it's so interesting. We have a congregant that he's hanging on. Boy, I'll tell you, I've never seen anyone fight with so much might. But I was told that, hospice actually said, looks like he probably only has, he's at the end and you should make your funeral arrangements. So we ran over there today. But I talked to him, I left a message yesterday, and then he left me a voicemail and said, Rabbi, where you been? I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks. Well, I had told him that I was going to be out of town, but he forgot. And then he said, you should come on over. We'll grab a cup of coffee. And I feel like I'm in the twilight zone here, like I just was told the day before. And so I went right over the next morning. I met his wife. We were there. She was sitting there. And he's just sitting up, all dressed up in his finery, you know, as finery as you can have in assisted living, and sitting in his wheelchair, just ready for his visit. And so that's what it's like, you know. We ebb and flow, just like we say with the seasons and the tides, and, you know, with our purpose in this life and our fight to stay here, no matter what, and the prayers of our community and the love of our families and the light that surrounds us. But the Shema, I'm thinking, oh, we're going to run over there. We're going to do the final blessings. We're going to do the Shema, you know. But I said, but, you know, we need to make really sure, because we're not doing the Shema if it's not time. You know, we could do it just to cover bases, but we're just going to hold off, you know. And then it's like, Rabbi, let's grab ourselves a cup of coffee. So this is the delight of the mystery that we all are on in the journey together. So when we do the Shema, we make that connection. We are meant to know that we are supposed to say it at night before we go to bed, because we don't know if we're going to pass in our sleep. In the morning when we wake up, saying thank you for returning our soul to ourselves and our light and our life and our families. And then at the time of passing, when it comes time. And so we do this with the intention of knowing that we can connect to that higher sense of something other than just what we see. So whether you do that sitting down or standing, please do as we prepare for the Shema on page 152 and 153. Let us take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And let us think about what it might have been like all those thousands of years when we received the commandments, because that's our Parsha. You know, think about what was it like. It is said we were all together before and we are together again. Open up your palms if you'd like to and think about it, and see if your fingertips start to tingle a little bit, but just breathe in and breathe out. Imagine yourself thousands of years ago. What was it like to receive these commandments amidst thunder, trembling, terror at that which is unseen, that we are unfamiliar with, and even the ground, it is said, the world trembled as well. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Shem kavod malchuto leolam vaed. Baruch Shem kavod malchuto leolam vaed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Adonai Echad. Adonai Echad. Please be seated. So I was reminded of, I said to this family, I said, you know, they didn't understand, like, how could it be so different? And I said, well, I don't know, I kind of have this effect in the process. Sometimes people just whoosh, come back to life. And, Diana, remember, we've done this multiple times with Tony. And then towards the end, Tony was like, no, I don't want you to do the prayers, because there's a point. Remember that? When it's sort of like, no, right, Amy? Where you don't want to think that, I'm going to do the prayers, or, the rabbi's coming in, this means that my time is over. But with me, there are times we go in there. Remember the one time Tony was in the hospital, it looked like you were just fighting off that angel of death. It was like, he got like a cat, multiple lives over and over again. But many of you here in this room, you've experienced it, where I've been with you when you've had to deal with your times of illness and things. But then when it's time to just make that transition and move on, we could either, if you want someone to pass, probably don't have me come visit, because they might rally and stick around a little while longer. But when it's time to make that transition, everyone can know that I do believe in the Shema, I do believe in what we're doing, and truly, I think it's probably when I'm most at my best. So anyway, if you'll take a look at the Ve'ahavta, the other end of the spectrum is when we have children. And so I miss all those little kids we used to have. And so, but they grow up. Crystal just spent all this time with her lovely daughter, Sierra, who we married, it's a couple of years ago now almost at this point. And we have, Harriet's at home, but, her, she's just having, great grandchildren popping out, coming here and there everywhere. And those boys grew up and got married. And so that love for Judaism and passing that love in light of a faithful existence where you choose to love God with all your heart, soul, and mind, that is what the Ve'ahavta is about. So let us read, because we are in the Shabbat Yitro of the commandments, let's read the English below the Ve'ahavta, and then we will do the Ve'ahavta, which is a part of the Shema and its blessings. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'eleh asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartavam v'shivtecha v'beitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shofchecha u'v'kumecha u'keshartam le'od al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha ochtabtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkaru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lehiot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem Emet. So, did we read that English? Well, let us do it, because it is so important. I get carried away with the Hebrew. I was thinking to myself, when are we going to do our class again? We are so busy with our social calendar that, pickleball is taking over the place of Torah study with Mark and his people. And, so I don't know. So, some people, we do 4 services a month. That's what we do. First and third Friday, second Saturday, Havdalah on the fourth Saturday. And that's about all our people can handle. You must remember when we started, people don't remember this. We actually started with 1 service a month at the Hacienda. You're all looking at me with a glazed eye. Yes, it was one, Mark Riker especially. So I don't know. Yes, we had 1 service in October, 1 service in November, 1 service in December, and then in January, it is my job to remember these things, we moved to the Pacific Unitarian Church, and we had our open house there and our big Shabbat service, and that is when we added the first and third Friday. Then much, much later on, we had a few congregants that were insistent that we have a Saturday service. We had some B'nai Mitzvah children, so we added on the second Saturday. But then once those sisterhood kind of had a revolution, and they were like, we don't want to have to come to right? We don't want to have to come to Saturday all the time. Like, we don't want to do that. And so, because they're so busy taking care of us on Fridays and all the rest of the time, but the children needed to be here. But then the 2 people who most wanted the Saturday service left. How many times did they come to the Saturday service? Once. Okay, just for example, there was another time that there was a couple of the members. They wanted to have a Tat Shabbat for their young grandchildren. So I made a tot Shabbat. I had it going on. We did it prior to the service. Do you remember this, Wendy? Do you remember? We had this going on. I got a girl to play guitar. My son told me not to keep her around because she looked like me when I was 30. And she was going to take my job, and I said, we should only be so lucky. Heather, may you go forth and conquer, because I will not be here forever. And this is what we're supposed to do, like in the Ve'ahavta, pass the love for Judaism forward and the tradition. And so, did this family ever come? Not once. We had this whole program. Esri did arts and crafts with her mom. It was a whole thing. So people forget over 12, 13, 14 years what we have tried. Or maybe they were never even there because it wasn't their cup of tea and they didn't have children. And, so then the B'nai Mitzvah children move on. And so we've had, I think, 3 adult B'nai Mitzvah classes. A lot of people have learned our Hebrew. And then we had our meditation. So I went straight to the Hebrew. I say this because I'm thinking, when are we going to do this class? Because everyone is so busy. And the spring is a hard time. And yes, we are raining, but it's hard to believe that springtime is coming. But it is, and people get busy. And so I'm up here as we're doing the Ve'ahavta, and I'm thinking, do we start in the fall? Do we start before High Holy Days? Do we have Hebrew boot camp? What do we do? And then I'm thinking, maybe we just meditate on those Hebrew letters, open it up to everybody, just prior to the service, and just make that connection to the Hebrew letters. I say all this because I want you to email me and tell me, do you want to continue with the Hebrew, learning how to read the Hebrew? Would you prefer to have more Hebrew meditation? Do you want Torah study? Okay, because my husband Mark does the Torah study, and it started to thin out. People have lives, things happen. So we are happy to give and do whatever, but we need to have people who show up because a lot of work goes into it. Choir, okay? Dan is all there, ready, right? We're all ready to have a choir. And so he's shocked at the Rabbi Kanner's coffee house that there's all you singers out there, right? What'd you say? Why are they not showing up for choir? So email us, email me or Dan or Marianne. Tell us if you want to sing. You are supposed to make a joyful noise unto the Lord. You don't have to be perfect. I'll let Dan deal with that. What you have to do is show up with an open and willing spirit to want to be able to make the connection in your spiritual space through song and to help lead others in song. And so Mark Reichert has a great voice. He can do it. Wendy, you can come back. You can start singing. Diana, why don't you just start singing again? Judy, you sing. You go up in LA, just start singing with us. We got these 2 over here. Jeremy's going to end up a canner before Heather if we keep at this, But I mean, that's who we are. So Stacy's amazing. So Dan, do you have something you want to say about this? I'm making a pitch in the new year.
I think rehearsal will be on a Thursday.
Rehearsal will be on a Thursday.
Maybe even like next Thursday?
Next Thursday. Don't wait. Start now. This is why we can't have our Hebrew class, because we used to do it on Thursdays and now it'll be choir. But no, seriously, do this. Prepare yourselves. We have Purim coming up. Dan can prepare you all. Wendy, you'll be prepared to chant your Megillah. And you can all sing the Purim songs, okay? I won't even sing. I'll just watch. You can all do it, and it'll be very exciting. Same thing with Passover. Maybe you want to sing a few things at the Seder. And then I'm going to be doing my Mark's son, our son's wedding in April on the second Saturday. The choir can sing the music. In February, there's 17 of us going on a cruise. Dan's going to be singing. Most of us are going to be, actually, I think almost all of us up here are going to be on the cruise. If we had the choir, y'all could be singing, but instead there'll be some random people that I'm hoping will help. So anyway, find new ways. Make one commitment in this new year. Find new ways to connect to your Judaism. Pat's working like a beaver as our homeless coordinator and chair of Tikkun Olam. It's time to start bringing the food and the clothing to the back. So we need to do our mitzvot, and we need to honor the commandments, and we need to love Adonai with all our heart, soul, mind, and being. That being said, let's read the English on the bottom of page 154 of the Ve'ahavta. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai, your God. One way you can love God is by loving yourself. And that is the point of, yes, it is important to pray authentically and to be very present when you're doing it as a community, or if you're doing it at home or gardening or whatever you're doing. But it's also important, we have to, in Judaism, your health matters more than anything. And that isn't just your physical body. That's your psychological well-being, your spiritual well-being, what's going on in your psyche, what's going on in your relationships. When we are happy, the energy that we put out into the world is happy. And that's the problem. People are not happy. Don't worry, be happy. People aren't happy. Some are. But it's important to, what feeds our soul? And so what we are discovering at Emet is that every single outing for food that we have, there's 16, 17, 20, 25 people that show up. We have 18 people coming to dinner tonight. And, I'm struggling with the restaurants. Like, you don't understand. We need separate checks. We got to have these tables. You got to hire more cooks, because the restaurants aren't prepared to have, creme de la crepe. We were there. They've got the owner is back there cooking with the chef, and I warned them that there were going to be, what do we have, 16 people. So these things are important. Going to the movies. We're going to do movie night here every other month or once a month, and that will be a freebie for all of you, so that you give so much, you share of your time and your money, and you are going out to these events. So we're trying to mix it up so that there's more of a balance. So for February, March, and April, the third Friday will just be service and own it. Okay? I think in March we're having movie night. I don't know if we're doing it in February, but when we do movie night, Rabbi's Discretionary Fund bought us a popcorn machine, and Jeremy is the master of making popcorn. And we figured out how to do it with not too much salt. And so there will be candy, and there will be popcorn, and there will be movie, and it will be free. And if you want to make a donation to the candy box or the drink box, whatever, that's fine, but you are not required. But these will be opportunities to come and to share where it doesn't cost you anything. But what it takes is your commitment. In what we have is we are commanded to be holy and honor God and Shabbat. But we're also commanded to live and be healthy. So know that when we do these things and we go together and we eat and we share, that is as important as praying. And if it starts to look a little unbalanced, which I am hearing from a few people, that we have more social activities than services, the reality is our people are not, if all of you commit to me and send me emails and say, we want Friday and Saturday, we're going to come every weekend. But, it doesn't happen that way. But come to the social things. Be social. Get out of the house. Get out of your own, sense of, because sometimes we don't want to get up and go out, put on our makeup. My granddaughter said to me last week, Grandma, and she's looking at me so lovingly in the morning as she wakes me up at 6 a.m. her time, and it's 3 a.m. my time, and I just got in at like 1 a.m. their time. Grandma, I think you need to take a shower and put on your makeup. Where's your purple eyeshadow? You need to put on your makeup. Go do that. I'm like, she doesn't love me au natural. So what did I tell her? I told her, your mama wears a shadel. And you get to see her, because there were some people over at the house, and she wanted her to take off her shadel and just be comfortable. And Alyssa said, no, we have people in our house, because they're Orthodox, we have to wear it. And I said, just like Mama has her shadel, her extra hair. I said, when you go out in the world, she always covers up her head. She has a bandana or a hat or her shadel. And I said, but you're special. When you're home, you get to see her as she really is. There's a vulnerability. Do you know what that means? That means, that she's only this way with you, and she feels comfortable with that, and it's all good. And I said, Grandma doesn't wear a shadel, but what Grandma wears is makeup. And I said, and you are one of the 3 or 4 people in the world that get to see Grandma without makeup. Even when she's in the hospital, she says, do I let anyone come see me? No. So that's my shadel. But the thing is that we want to present ourselves and be holy unto God as our best selves, but we want to take care of ourselves. So please come to the events and push yourselves. Because those of you that are here that come to the events and actually enjoy it, let's hear a yes. Let's hear it. Yes, I'm going to show up for myself so that I can show up and be holy for God. And we showed up. We were standing on the parted shores of history when it was time for the Michamocha. Top of page 157, let us read it and then let us sing it. And Heather, are you singing with me or are you dancing? She wants to sing. Okay. Together, Jeremy will dance. Okay. 157, the English at the top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, and that there is a better place, a promised land, and that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together, yad b'yad, hand in hand. Micha Mocha, if you want to dance, please do. If you want to shake your tushy in your pews, do that too. Page 158, Micha Mocha. Thank you. Wonderful to see such ruach in this room. Now let us do Vishamru. The people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, page 162. Observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant. It is a commandment for all time. It is a sign between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from work and was refreshed. Veshamru, Bnei Yisrael, et HaShabbat, La'asot et HaShabbat, Ledorotam Berit Olam. Veshamru, Bnei Yisrael, et HaShabbat, La'asot et HaShabbat, Ledorotam Berit Olam. Bnei Oven, Bnei Yisrael, et He Le'olam, et He Le'olam. Veshamru Bnei Yisrael et HaShabbat, La'asot et HaShabbat, Ledorotam Berit Olam. Ki sheshet yamim asor Adonai, asor Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Veshamru Bnei Yisrael et HaShabbat, La'asot et HaShabbat, Ledorotam Berit Olam. Vayom Hashvi Shabbat Vayinafash, Shabbat Vayinafash, Shabbat Vayinafash. Veshamru Bnei Yisrael et HaShabbat, La'asot et HaShabbat, Ledorotam Berit Olam. If you're able to, please rise for the Amidah on 164 and the following pages. Pray as if everything depended on God. Act as if everything depended on you. We are still doing the insert for winter, and now our prayers are working for all that rain that we so desperately need, maybe even just a little too much. Adonai, Sefer Tivtach Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Velohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, V'hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chastei Avot Primaho, Umevi Gilal Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo Ve'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Metim atah, Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechakel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Velofei Holim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'Gevuro, Umido Melach, Melech Memihi, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, B'nemanat HaLachayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol, Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kadoshim B'chol Yom, Yahalalu Chasela, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. And let us read together the English on the bottom of page 171. Where might I go to find you exalted, hidden one? Yet where would I not go to find you, ever-present, eternal one? My heart cries out to you, please draw near to me. The moment I reach out for you, I find you reaching in for me. Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. And so we reach out to God at this time, and we ask that there be an abundant peace, a shalom rav, spread out not only across our own lands, but of course Yerushalayim, the Ukraine, and everywhere that there is injustice and strife and battle and the lack of peace. And so let us read together the English underneath Shalom Rav on page 178. And as you can see, this is what we pray. Grant abundant peace to Israel, your people, forever, forever. For you are the sovereign God of all peace. May it be pleasing to you to bless your people, Yisrael, in every season and moment with your peace. And now the top of 179. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praise for you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai hamavarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. So remember those words when you hear the sermon. And now close your eyes and take a deep breath in as we pray. Let us manifest energy of peace within the community of our own being here at Temple Emet, our temple of truth, and may it radiate out like the light of the candles to the world. Deep breath in and a deep breath out. Shalom Rav. Shalom Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Ki Ata Melech Adon Lechol Hashalom Ki Ata Melech Adon Lechol Hashalom Shalom Rahal Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Shalom Rahal Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam V'tov B'necha levarech et Amcha Yisrael v'chol v'chol shah v'shlomecha. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam Tasim Leolam. Special prayers for our President Marianne's daughter Sasha and her beloved new husband Oren, and to those around the world. Many of us here in this room and in our community have relatives in Israel and Jerusalem. We pray for their safety and for their health and for their longevity, and that there will be a Shalom Rav, an abundant peace brought to all swiftly. And so now, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to everybody. Shabbat Shalom. What's our parsha? Yitro. Okay, this Shabbat is Parsha Yitro, and in it we are given the commandments, a guide and a mandate to live ethically, honorably, morally, with freedom of choice. As slaves, we did not have many options. We did not have choices. For hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, our lives were structured in accordance with fear, brutality, at the will of our masters. We had no real opportunity to advance our character as individuals or as a community. We had no opportunity to do the hashbon hanefesh, the accounting of our souls, and to elevate our souls. Ramifications appeared based on the performance of our tasks or the lack of. There was never a spiritual component to our behavior, our mindfulness, and our choices. There was no accountability to a higher, more divine authority other than the whip or Pharaoh. So what does it actually mean to be commanded? And ultimately, by whom? And this is what I want you to think about. It is very hard, and I don't want people mad at me, here in this room or online. We are commanded by God to do certain things, but many people feel commanded by their own gods and their own leaders. We are commanded by Adonai and receive outlined specific directives, not once, but twice in the Torah. Actually, 3 times we hear the commandments. We hear it in Parsha Yitro, which is now in the book of Exodus. We hear it in Va'echran, which is in Deuteronomy, and on Shavuot, when we have the festival of the giving of the commandments at Sinai, both oral and written. 3 times. What do I say about the number 3? That's how we create order out of the chaos. And the commandments, not 10, but all 613, were divined and commanded to create order. If you're in the bumper cars and you have no rules, what are you going to do? Boom, 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 smash into everybody. There must be rules. They have to be followed. There must be order. So what does it mean to be commanded? Again, I ask you, and ultimately by who? We have this parsha with these commandments that we are given, and when it comes up in the book of Exodus or in the book of Deuteronomy, the versions are actually almost identical, but there is a difference. The version in Deuteronomy is a little bit longer. Why is it longer? Because Moses is at the end of the journey, everyone's getting ready to move into the promised land, or not, because the generation that couldn't get out of their slave mentality doesn't get in. But the whole book is all a reiteration of everything that has passed, because we are a people that are supposed to remember, but also forgive. This is a difficult thing. One of the most significant differences that we have is in the 4th commandment, which is 2. Exodus says, remember the Sabbath, and Deuteronomy says, keep the Sabbath. So the rabbis say that both are accurate. God actually spoke the command to keep Shabbat by desisting from forbidden work. And remember Shabbat, remember it, by declaring its holiness and its sanctity. Simultaneously, something incomprehensible at the time to the human mind. There was no true rest at that time. There was only work and subservience, with hundreds of years of oppression beat into us and beat into our souls and dampening our spirit. We lived a certain way without freedom to think for ourselves and to make choices that would affect our morality and inevitably our life's outcomes. There wasn't a different outcome for hundreds of years. You were slaves, that was it. You did Pharaoh's bidding. The challenge that we face now as a nation, as a people, is that we are fighting against cousins, make no mistake, who feel commanded by another, whom they feel guided by as their prophet and their leaders. Both sides are fighting for the same land and holy rights that each side feels justified and commanded to procure. It's like in any relationship or a marriage. Both parties, have you ever experienced, feel they're right. In this instance, both parties feel divinely justified to pursue to the death at all costs what is rightfully, they believe, outlined as theirs. Everyone's behaviors and choices are colored by the belief that they are pursuing prophecy and eliminating an enemy which threatens not only their existence, but their inherent right. The bottom line, if you really look at the whole scope of everything, one would hope is that justice, truth, Emet, and an alliance to that which is considered humane would be what would prevail. Everyone can have a different opinion about what should be theirs, but what is just? What is humane? How do we get there? What is that allegiance to something higher that could guide us toward a solution? Where can compromise be found when both sides are rooted in the belief that they are actually right? Innocent people are being trapped, vilified, held hostage, killed in the pursuit of this seemingly, for each side's intense passion, something that is just and ordained by something higher that they're following. So what do? The key might actually be to look at the commandments as a whole. They were given for a reason by God that knew with freedom comes responsibility and choice. Nowhere in our Judaic commandments is there a charge to treat anyone other than with just fairness, a sense of morality, honor, love, and kindness. If one worldview were to be followed objectively, shouldn't it be the one that commands loving one's neighbor as themselves, to not murder, to not lie, cheat, covet, bear false witness, and to honor those who have come before, as well as those who are meant to follow, and create a world guided by the commandments so that there will actually be a world to continue? When fanaticism reigns and rules supreme, we are all subject to the evils of unchecked ego and power. We are all victims of an abusive system, no matter what side of the aisle we might dwell on, or even as a country. We are ultimately one humanity, and if we cannot figure out how to dwell together as such, we will all be subject to an apocalyptic outcome that benefits no one. Commands are one thing. We have free will. We can choose to follow them or not. Sadly, many follow the commands of false prophets and gods, and this has been true for centuries. Ultimately, we are not in charge of the outcome. Our political leaders decide. We can show up, we can vote for who we feel is the best to lead us, and even that divides us and creates dissension between us. We can argue with one another, we can debate, we can speak out where we can, but in the end, for faith-minded people, or for those who may just wish for something higher and something greater to guide us, we can pray. We can pray that the commandments passed down thousands of years ago will resonate with enough, be reminders to enough, that we can make a difference if we follow the guidebook, and that they will serve as a reminder when others appear in our path who do not wish our best. They will guide us. In the Torah, when something appears twice, there is a divine reason. It's called a rerun, especially in the same verse. Moses imparts these commandments at Sinai after the Exodus, and then again, we said at the end in Deuteronomy, as he recounts everything that has transpired on the journey, so that we will not forget. We are a people founded on memory, history, and the command to never forget. Yet, what do we have at High Holy Days? We must also figure out how to forgive. How do we find forgiveness? Let's say we get all past all this chaos and craziness that we're living in. How do we find forgiveness? And mind you, I'm already thinking of High Holy Days. How do we find forgiveness when so many have lost lives and so many are still held hostage? How do we find forgiveness when so many lives have been disrupted and thrown into unimaginable chaos and despair? We must remember that the blade cuts both ways. There are two sides to every story, and our oppressors are following commands that they feel to be divinely inspired and just and true for them. So how do we go forward when the path has been polluted for centuries by rivalry and hate? The path to peaceful resolution may actually lie in the original 10 Commandments from Mount Sinai and the entire 613 as a whole. We can start with ourselves, our corner of the world, our commitment to what the commands are and how we uphold them. You know, character is what you do when no one's looking. Do you lie? Do you bend the truth? Are you living in the gray? What do we do? Little tiny moments when you can check yourself and say, okay, what am I doing? So we can start with ourselves, and we can then do our best civically and Judaically, but ultimately humanely. Showing up where we can, giving where we can, being good, being honest, being true as often as we can. This is energy that we put out into the universe that manifests greater goodness and kindness and truth. And praying with all of our might that justice and redemption will prevail in accordance with Adonai as our one true God commands. The 10 Commandments were communicated by God to the people at Mount Sinai 50 days after the Exodus from Egypt. God carved those 10 Commandments into 2 tablets of stone, They gave those to Moses. What happened? He comes down the mountain. We're all lost our faith. We're praying to a golden, molten idol. He gets upset. He smashes those tablets, goes back up to God, gets a second set of tablets because, two, it's so important, which were then placed in the Ark of the Covenant. So the Ten Commandments are not exactly the entirety of God's instructions. What actually happened is from those came the 613, which have everything in them, what we should do and what we should not do, to guide us and lead us. So many times I chant the commandments. They're in Hebrew. Nobody knows what I'm saying. People may know 4 or 5 of them. The kids always ask me, what's commandment number 5? Well, honor your father and mother. But I have made sure that you all have a copy in English. Jeremy has passed them out. Raise your hand if you do not have a copy. And we're going to read them in English, okay? So that we can make the commitment on this Shabbat. Jeremy, you might want to give some to our musicians up here as well, to these commandments. So, we must live with intention, kavanah, purpose, in our hearts, in our souls, in our minds, and in our beings. And we need to be most true to that which is high and divine and spiritual, because when we're in alignment with God, we are in alignment with the best in ourselves. And when we're in that state of Emet, of truth, which is why we're Emet, then we can make a difference in the world. And we can be the change that needs to be seen. So let us all read. You can see you've got the English of the Ten Commandments. All 10 are there. We need a couple more. We have plenty. Feel free to take these home with you, but don't crumple them up and leave them on the ground. If you're not going to keep them, just put them in the back table back there, just like we do when we have Hebrew. Let's please do this with the English because of what we're saying most particularly, and so that we can make that connection. So as we're reading in the English, let us make the connection to what was given to us as our guide of morality to follow. And when we have more than 10, we have a minion. Let us manifest the energy that this light and this love and this purpose can be manifest throughout the world for all humanity. So together, number 1. I am the Lord your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Number 2. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a graven image, nor any manner of likeness of anything that is in heaven above, that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children of the 3rd and 4th generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto the 1000th generation of them that love me and keep my commandments. 3. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that takes his name in vain. Number 4. Remember the Sabbath day. Remember to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all of your work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath unto the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any manner of work, you, your son, your daughter, your manservant, your maidservant, your cattle, and your stranger that is within your gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and rested on the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Number 5. Honor your father and mother, so that your days may be long upon the land which the Lord your God gives you. 6. You shall not murder. 7. You shall not commit adultery. 8. You shall not steal. 9. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. 10. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, his manservant, his maidservant, his ox, his donkey, nor anything that is your neighbor's. Tricky thing when we're neighbors in the East. So we want what's right and good and just for everyone, and that's all we can pray for. And different people are going to see it different ways. Just like two people see an accident and they can be absolutely sure of what happened and have two completely different points of view. Just like a parent with a child, just like two people in a relationship, and each side can feel 100% right. How do you find the way through? That's what we have to figure out as one humanity. There are 613 total commandments commanding us to do something or not do something. It is up to us to choose to follow or not. The outcome of our lives and society, our humanity, will rely on the choices that we make and our adherence to that which is holy, that which is commanded, and that which is good. Let us all strive to stand in the aisle that commands humanity, commands morality, and commands justice for all. Let us love and support all who work for the betterment of society, with a mind toward equality and honor. And let us pray for salvation and redemption, that which we have seen before and is so desperately needed now for all man and womankind. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will. Shabbat Shalom. So now we're going to take our energy and our prayers, and we're going to do the Mishberak. If you'll turn to page 371. And we have many people here struggling with different illnesses, and also at home and in the hospital and with family and in retirement homes, assisted living, and nursing homes, and people who are hurting psychically, spiritually, physically around the world as well. A special prayer of Refuah Shlema to Bob and Joy Feldman. Joy and Bob had an encounter with some people who had RSV, and even though they were vaccinated, they have the symptoms of RSV. They say that, they're feeling better, so they're watching. Hi, Bob and Joy. And they just don't want to infect anyone because Bob thinks he's still contagious, so thank you. Also for their daughter Jody, who has gone through surgery and come through beautifully. And we pray for her, Refuah Shlema, speedy healing, complete healing. And Sandy Teicher, who is fighting to stay here on this planet with all of us. And there's so many in our community that have cancer. Harriet Allen, who's home, who's hurting because and grieving in her spirit because she had to put her beloved Pepper down this week, and so she doesn't really want to talk to anyone right now. So hi, Harriet, she's watching. But we need to send our love and our light and our energy forward. And so we do this, and we're grateful to God for the Refuah Shlema that Diana has had. And in such a short time, here she is sitting amongst us. There she is eating not only crepes, but eggs, spinach Benedict, and all kinds of manner of things, and now Mexican food. And she's here, and you might remember at Yom Kippur, she did that appeal from the, was it the ICU? Yeah. So look, the power of prayer and the power of belief in something that you can't see that's here with us. So we call upon these feelings as we sing the Mishberak, and we send that love and that light out, not only to our own loved ones, but throughout the world. Say their names in your hearts and your mind, your spirit, see their faces, and send them love and light for Refuah Shlema. And also for my daughter, her entire synagogue pretty much got the norovirus last Shabbat. So some are in the hospital, so may everyone have healing. Mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. And let us say, Amen. Mi Shabbat. Avotenu V'kor Havracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And so now, if you'll turn to the bottom of page 586, we have our Aleinu, 586. And if you're able to, please rise as the ark is opened. Aleinu l'shaveach ladon hakol, latei gedula liyotzer b'reishi, shelo asanu kegoye haratzo, velo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, vegor aleinu kehol hamona, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Shehu notei shamayim ve'yoser haaretz, u'moshev yekaro b'shamayim mima'al, v'shechinatu zo, egov heim meromim, hu Eloheinu ein od, emet mokeinu efes ulatom, kakatu betorato, ve'yadata hayom, v'hashevota el levavecha, ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim, b'shamayim mima'al, ve'al haaretz mitachat einod. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz, bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. Please be seated. And now, if you'll turn to page 598, we think of those that we have loved and lost. I know Harriet said she'd be at home saying cottage for Pepper, and I do. Our pets are like our family, and they are. They're not like, they are our family. And so we have had quite a few stand up and say their pets' names. Sometimes you don't realize it. Might be Connie or Sam or Joel, but not Connie, because Connie's going to be around for a long time. We've actually had other people with other names, but I'm just saying. You know, and my husband sent me a text, and Briscoe, our dog, had to go have a little interview. And he sent me a text, and it said, Briscoe passed, period. I was hysterical. Like, what are you talking about? Did you get home and he had passed? Were you in the car and he had passed? Did he pass in the middle of his interview? When did he pass? What happened? And he's like, he passed his test. He passed his interview. Do not send texts that say someone has passed and put a period at the end of it. So, now let us think of those who we've loved and that they're always with us. So, if you've lost someone in the last week, would you please rise and say their names if you've lost somebody? Of course, we know Pepper, and so yes, Richard. Yes, and we sent out a notice. Did the notice go out? What? Okay, so all of you, it's at Hillside. It's a graveside service. It's on Sunday. There will be, we have something else going on with the temple, so some will go, some might not. When the notice looks for it comes out, they are founding members of Emet. If you take a look at the notice, if you can't get up to Hillside, there's a phone number that they've asked that people text if you want to see it on live stream. So feel free to do that. So, what Judy? Okay, so, see, of course, we do things differently at Shabbat. We're going to send out the notice. You guys should look at it, even though it is commanded that we are supposed to not do computers or anything like that. But anyway, so you can't keep them all, no matter how hard you try. Okay, so Richard, stay standing for your friend. Also, Wendy, if you're able to, only if you want to. Pat. Okay, anybody else? If you've lost someone in the last 30 days, the Shloshim period, please rise and say your loved ones' names. And if you're already standing, raise your hand. Judy? Lucy, my dog. Oh, sorry to hear. You should give Harriet a call. Two of you, seriously. Anybody else? The last 11 months, please rise and say your loved one's name. Diana? Prayers go out. Okay, yes, Judy. Go ahead, Brian. Oh, and we have Bob and Natalie. Okay. Okay. And then Stacy. My husband, Daniel. Yes. Marianne.
My mom, Ethel Rothstein, my Aunt Beverly Trevo, my brother-in-law, Stephen Richard Reck, my friend Valencia Williams, and since we can say our dog's name, my dog Brownstein Rothstein.
There you go. There you go. That's a good name. Amy. So together as a community, and those of you out in the cyberspace world, hopefully you've said your names, will rise and say Kaddish on page 598. And once again, it says Mourner's Kaddish, but if you look, it's all in the English, an exaltation of the divine. Yes. Pardon me? Oh, did I not? Yard sites, anniversaries. There's so many that we just had for the last 11 months. Thank you. If you're already standing, raise your hand. Those of you who have an anniversary of a loved one's name, thank you so much. Diana. Judy.
My mother, Lydia Hester.
Sunny. Natalie. Okay. Judy, did you have someone? I know we have Abe. Abe, this is a big one. And it's hard to believe it's been 5 years, but yes, for Martha as well. And so, okay, Sandra. Okay, and in the back, anybody? Okay, everybody right here? Anybody over here? Okay, thank you. So the anniversary of our loved ones' deaths, we honor them as well, and together all of us rise if we're able for the Kaddish. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrah chirutei ve'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'izman kari v'miru. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lomei amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, V'yit hadar, v'yit halev, v'yit halal, shemei dekudasha b'reichu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alama v'imru. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May God, who is the creator and the author of all life and death, things that are seen and unseen, grant eternal rest and perfect peace to our loved ones, and peace to everyone who's suffering and mourning at this time and around the world. Peace to all those, and glorification on high for those that are worthy of merit, as together we say, Amen. So please be seated, and we're going to have some announcements from our president, Mary Ann. She's not kidding. She had this conversation with me a couple days ago. Okay.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to everybody at Temple Emet. It's good to see everybody. Live stream, of course. Once again, we've got to thank the people that put this together. got Brian, Mark Tannen, and Tim Jones out there doing security for us. Those are they put it all together. Thank you, thank you. But let's see. Our flowers tonight. I'm sorry? Oh, we'll get to the music. Believe me,
They
we'll
all
get to the
love
music.
to tell us what to do when we're up there, but
Yes.
sometimes it's important.
It's true, it's true. We'll get to the music. But these beautiful flowers are sponsored by Bob and Natalie Spencer in loving memory of Natalie's mother, Anne Wallace. And Anne Wallace, we love your daughter. So, also, and the service tonight is sponsored by Me, Myself, and I in honor of Lynn Cantu's birthday,
Which is today.
which is today. So wherever you are, Lynn, happy birthday. I
Just
hope you're
having
having
a
some
good time.
joyous moments celebrating your birthday. We've got a lot of important February babies here, I understand.
We do, so we're going to
I'm
have
just
everyone
carrying it the
stand
last
up.
minute.
I think we'll just,
Okay.
everyone right after this, January's and February's, will just stand where they are and we'll sing happy birthday.
Okay, so that part's good. I'd like to thank you, Rabbi. Thank you for the sermon. Always a good sermon. It kind of reminded me of our board meetings, some of those points of the sermon. I can't quite quote what it was, but politics, decisions, you really don't make the decision. You got it, you
Yeah,
remember. It was part of the sermon. Thank you very, very much. And we must thank the musicians,
Woo,
our
woo.
musicians. Dan Spector, thank you, our wonderful Dan, our tenacious Dan Spector. Hilda, who is reading her music on an iPad tonight.
Oh,
State
really?
of the art,
You're
moving
learning-
forward,
oh,
Hilda.
Oh, wow, oh, wow.
Stacy, Amy, thank you very much. And I was privileged once again to play, and it's always
Yes,
wonderful.
thank you to Marianne.
And, okay.
And Heather and Jeremy.
And Heather and Jeremy, of course. Okay, a lot of input around here. A lot of stuff going on all the time. Also, we want to talk about our education programs. Some of these we need to reinstitute in the spring. I know we can and we will. We have Roger's Zoom meditation class, which is Mondays on Zoom. I've gotten some feedback that this is a very, very special class. I'm gonna, when things calm down a little, I'm gonna call him and get some details, because I talk about it but really don't know a lot of details. But over the week I've had some people say it's very, very special. So maybe Mark or Sandra, I know when Harriet's feeling a little better, Rabbi can give you the contact info if you're interested in Eastern meditation. I'm sure it's very, very wonderful. We also have Mark Tannen and Rabbi's classes, a Hebrew legend, and Rabbi's just talked about it. But I think in the spring, when things calm down, we'll have to reinstitute our educational classes and figure out when we're going to do that. We can and we will. Dan Spector's Zoom music appreciation class, we just had a very good one on Wednesday evening, and that's all the last Wednesday of the month. So see Dan, he'll send you a link, and we talk about music, Jewish composers, old musicals. Phenomenal dancing. I mean, it's not even real. It's surreal to watch some of this dancing from way back then. So thank you very much. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to our activities, because there's a lot, and maybe I'll just stop at February, and if you would please help me, because I'm sure I'm gonna miss something. February 2nd, right now, today, we're having our service, and it was wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Now, we had an outing on Sunday that was canceled.
Well, it's
So we're
actually just changed.
It's changed. It's changed. Yes, because it's going to be very rainy. Supposedly, we're going to have a lot of rain. So you're going to go see Argyle the movie, which is about cats, and you're going to eat at the CPK California Pizza Kitchen, but I don't know what time.
The
What are
movie's at
times?
2, I believe, Marcia, yes? It's not.
Oh,
There is a
Argyle?
cat.
It's
No.
about spies. Oh, I thought you said it was about cats.
Well, there's a cat.
There is a cat. Somebody's
People
holding
like
a cat.
cats, they should come see it.
Okay, so Argyle, it's a spy movie, and then 2:15, and before that,
1
Marcia?
o'clock.
1 o'clock, CPK. So that'll be Sunday.
It's a
And it'll be
good rainy day
close.
thing to do.
Yeah, it's at the Rolling Hills Plaza here locally. So that will be on Sunday, which is February the 4th. Great. Okay, Saturday, February 10th, we'll have our service from 10 to 12:30, our morning Shabbat service, and then we'll be going to the Lazy Dog afterwards for lunch. Sunday, February 11th, there's a Super Bowl party here. That's going to be quite fun, starting at 3. So come on, watch the Super Bowl. I got that great TV, and I'm sure there'll be great snacks. So that will be Sunday, February 11th. Friday, February 16th is our evening Shabbat service, and it will be led by our wonderful sisterhood, because we're going to be on the open seas, seeing what kind of trouble we can get into there, and bring
We'll
it back
have
to
Shabbat,
Temple
though.
Emet. Yes. And then February 24th will be the Havdalah service with Stacy, and I'm sure there'll be a lunch bunch snuck in there.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to stop at this because I just have endless amounts of activities. But I think we don't want to go on overload, and we'll just, is there
That's
anything
great.
I've missed for February?
No, and we all need to, apparently they're going to release our tables at the restaurant if we don't get there in
Okay, then I'm going to
15
hurry it
minutes.
up. Be well, safe, stay dry. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, thank you so much for being our president and doing such a wonderful job.
I'm trying. And Diana, I want to see you again soon.
Well, hopefully you'll be seeing her at dinner if we can keep our reservation. Okay, so that being said, everyone with a birthday in January, please rise. Anybody have a birthday in January? Let us celebrate you. Anyone have a birthday in February? Stand up. Let us give you a Yom Huledet Sameach. Yom Huledet Sameach. Yom Huledet Sameach. Okay. Happy birthday to you. Yom Huledet Sameach. Yom Huledet Sameach. Happy birthday to you. May you go on and have many, many, many more. Okay. Okay, we're going to close with Oseh Shalom. And let's bless one another with the Birkat Kohanim. Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav alecha v'yichuneka. Yisa Adonai panav alecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Can you hear what's on me? Be God's will. Shabbat Shalom. Right on over to get your challah and wine, and off if you're going to the restaurant. Maybe if you need to use the restroom, use it there. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Thank you once again to everyone who participated. Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Oseh Shalom B'Broma. Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Ve'imru, Ve'imru, Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Yisrael. All right, everybody, let's get our Kiddush cups. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you. I know, I'm good with that. They all call Yisrael. Woo! Thank you to our musicians. Raise your cups. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam.